Here are 10 fun facts about mushrooms you can listen to in English. Now, let's get started. Lightning cultivation. Did you know that a lightning strike can make mushrooms multiply? For shiitake mushroom growers, the answer is a surprising yes. A cultivation technique developed by researchers in Japan has scientifically demonstrated that applying a high-voltage electric shock to the logs where shiitake mushrooms grow can nearly double the harvest yield. The shock, which can be around 100,000 volts, simulates a natural lightning strike. This triggers a defense mechanism in the mushroom's mycelium, the underground fungal network, causing it to produce a large number of fruiting bodies, the parts we call mushrooms, in an effort to reproduce before a perceived threat. This innovative method isn't limited to just shiitake. Similar positive effects on yield have been observed in other mushroom species, such as nameko and oyster mushrooms. However, the widespread adoption of this technology faces some practical challenges. The equipment required to generate such high voltages is expensive to install and maintain, and ensuring the safety of farm workers is a primary concern. Therefore, while the science is proven, the economic feasibility and safety protocols need to be carefully considered for it to become a standard practice in the industry. Radiotrophic fungi. Have you heard of a fungus that feeds on radiation? Inside the damaged Chernobyl nuclear reactor, scientists made an astonishing discovery: a type of black fungus that not only survives but thrives on radiation. This fungus, known as Cladosporium sphaerospermum, contains large amounts of the pigment melanin. Researchers found that this melanin allows the fungus to absorb harmful gamma rays at levels up to 500 times higher than normal and convert this radiation into chemical energy for growth, a process that has been termed radiosynthesis. This discovery challenges the conventional view of fungi as mere decomposers. While most fungi break down organic matter, these radiotrophic fungi are harnessing energy from a source previously thought to be universally destructive. This redefines our understanding of the biological limits of life. The unique ability has also attracted the attention of NASA. They are investigating whether these fungi could be used to protect astronauts from cosmic radiation during long space missions, or even serve as a potential food source that could be cultivated in high radiation environments. Largest mushroom. Did you know that the largest living organism on Earth is not a blue whale, but a fungus? Deep in Oregon's Malheur National Forest, a single specimen of Armillaria ostoyae, or the honey mushroom, covers an area of 9.65 square kilometers. This colossal entity is estimated to be 8,650 years old and could weigh as much as 35,000 tons. It thrives by extending a vast underground network of root-like structures called rhizomorphs, which infect and kill surrounding trees. The small, honey-colored mushrooms that appear above ground in the autumn are merely the reproductive organs of this enormous, hidden giant. While the fungus is a destructive forest pathogen, its role in the ecosystem is complex. By killing weaker or older trees, it functions as a natural part of the forest's life cycle. This process of decay returns essential nutrients to the soil, creating openings in the forest canopy that allows sunlight to reach the floor. This, in turn, promotes the growth of new, diverse plant life and helps to maintain the overall long-term health and resilience of the forest environment. Third nuclear weapon. Could a simple mushroom be a nation's strategic asset? For North Korea, the rare matsutake mushroom was exactly that. Prized in Japan and other parts of Asia, these mushrooms became a vital source of foreign currency for the isolated regime. At its peak, North Korea was exporting over 1,500 tons of matsutake mushrooms annually, generating more than $100 million in revenue. This income was considered so crucial for funding its military and weapons development that the mushrooms were nicknamed the third nuclear weapon, alongside its plutonium and uranium programs. This lucrative trade came to an official end in 2017. In response to North Korea's continued missile tests, the United Nations Security Council passed Resolution 2397, which included a comprehensive ban on all of the country's food and agricultural exports. As a result, official exports of matsutake dropped to zero. However, many experts and defectors report that this has not completely stopped the trade. It is widely believed that North Korea continues to earn money from these mushrooms by smuggling them into neighboring countries, where they are often relabeled and sold as local products. Communicating fungi. Can an organism without a brain communicate using language? A study from the University of the West of England suggests that fungi might do just that. Researchers analyzed the patterns of electrical impulses generated by the mycelial networks of 4 species of fungi. They found that these impulses, or spikes, often group together into trains of activity. The analysis revealed that the complexity of these spike trains is comparable to a human language, with a vocabulary of up to 50 distinct words. This fungal language is thought to be used for communicating information across the mycelium network, such as the location of food sources or potential dangers. Unlike the centralized nervous system of animals, fungi possess a decentralized network, which allows them to process information in a unique way. Researchers believe this principle could be applied to develop fungal computers, which would be living electronic devices capable of self-repair and adapting to their environment. Radioactive mushrooms. Why are some wild mushrooms still considered unsafe to eat in areas affected by nuclear accidents, years after the events? The reason is their remarkable ability to absorb and concentrate radioactive cesium from the soil. Some mushroom species can accumulate this substance to levels thousands of times higher than in their surroundings. Consequently, long after the Chernobyl and Fukushima disasters, certain wild mushrooms in the affected regions continue to show high levels of contamination, even where other crops are now considered safe for consumption. This phenomenon occurs because of a chemical trap. Fungi require the element potassium to grow, which they absorb through their vast underground networks. However, radioactive cesium has a chemical structure that is very similar to potassium. The fungi's cells cannot distinguish between these two elements and end up absorbing the toxic cesium along with the essential nutrient. Mycorrhizal fungi, which form symbiotic relationships with tree roots, are particularly efficient at this, drawing minerals and contaminants from a wide area of soil. Berserker's magic mushroom. Did you know that the legendary fury of Viking berserkers may have been fueled by a type of hallucinogenic mushroom? For many years, a popular theory suggested they consumed Amanita muscaria before battle. This fungus contains the psychoactive compounds ibotenic acid and mucimol. These chemicals are known to cause agitation, delirium, and a reduced sensation of pain. This explanation seemed to fit historical accounts of warriors fighting without armor, howling like wild animals, and continuing to fight despite sustaining serious injuries, seemingly unaware of their wounds. However, this mushroom theory is now being challenged. Some researchers point out that Amanitida muscaria often causes side effects like vomiting and muscle fatigue after the initial phase, which would be detrimental in a prolonged battle. An alternative theory suggests the use of a different plant called henbane. The substances in henbane induce an aggressive rage and numbness to pain without the subsequent lethargy. This makes it a more plausible candidate for what fueled these fearsome warriors. Shooting mushrooms. Have you ever considered how mushrooms spread their spores, especially when there is no wind? Many species have evolved a remarkable mechanism known as the surface tension catapult. At the base of a spore, a tiny water droplet called Buller's drop forms and gradually grows. It eventually merges with another film of water on the spore's surface. This fusion event instantly releases stored surface energy, creating a momentum shift that launches the spore away at speeds of up to 1 meter per second and with an acceleration of over 10,000 Gs. But why is such a powerful launch necessary? The primary reason is to escape the thin layer of still air, known as the boundary layer, that surrounds the mushroom's gills. This zone of stagnant air is only about 1 millimeter thick, but it's enough to trap the spores if they simply fall. The catapult provides the initial push needed to project the spores through this layer and into the turbulent air currents above. Once in these currents, they can be carried far and wide to find new places to grow. Mushrooms make it rain. Have you ever wondered if mushrooms can influence the weather? A fascinating hypothesis suggests they can, by making it rain. Fungi release vast numbers of microscopic spores into the atmosphere. Some species can eject up to 100,000 spores per square centimeter every second. These tiny particles, often just a few micrometers in diameter, act as perfect cloud condensation nuclei. This means that water vapor in the air gathers around these spores, forming the water droplets that eventually build up into clouds. This process is not just a coincidence, it is a clever survival strategy. By encouraging rainfall, mushrooms create the humid, damp conditions necessary for their own growth and for their spores to germinate successfully. While the global impact of this fungal activity on weather patterns is still being studied, it is thought to be a significant factor in local rainfall, particularly in dense forest ecosystems. It is a remarkable example of how organisms can actively shape their environment for their own benefit. Fungal detectives. When solving a crime, a crucial witness might not be a person, but a fungus. A developing field called forensic mycology uses fungi to help determine a person's time of death. Human remains provide a rich source of nutrients for fungi, which colonize the body in a predictable sequence. For instance, specific types of yeasts appear in the early stages of decomposition. As time passes, these are replaced by molds, and eventually, specialized fungi capable of decomposing hard tissues like hair and bone appear. By identifying the fungal species present, investigators can estimate the post-mortem interval, or the time that has passed since death, often within a range of several weeks to months. This fungal evidence can be particularly valuable in situations where traditional methods, like forensic entomology, are less effective. For example, insects are less active in cold weather or indoors, but many fungi can still grow. However, forensic mycology is not without its challenges. The growth of fungi is heavily influenced by environmental factors, such as temperature, humidity, and local soil type. Therefore, researchers are currently working to build extensive databases to make these fungal timelines more accurate and reliable for use in criminal investigations.